help me understand how, if you're supposed to be in the vibrational frequency of what you want, how do you live in the moment? How do you do those two things at the same time?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? Because since most of you have trained yourself to be observant, and you want to be, really, because savoring the conditions of your world is a delicious thing. But if you're savoring the conditions of your world, then you run the risk of running across some conditions of your world that don't feel so good. And that's really the point that you're making. How do you be in the world? How do you be in the now and remain in the receptive mode? And the answer to that is, you care about the way you feel. You practice the vibration of being in the receptive mode when it's easy, until that is the vibrational frequency that is most natural to you. And that will cause the observation of your world to be more pleasant. In other words, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. And then if there is an old issue, an old hot button that you find yourself observing, like Esther did, and subsequently led to a manifestation that she didn't really enjoy that much, because it's such a minor part of your experience, it doesn't throw you off kilter, because you know about the laws of the universe and you know what you've been doing. And most of all, you are able to make the association between what you've been thinking and feeling and what's happening. So you're able to just guide yourself in a more efficient way. And the operative word here is be more unconditional. Care more about how you feel than anything else. Care more about how you feel than anything else. And when you think about it, that should be easy, because everything you're doing is because you want it to make you feel better anyway. So, for example, let's take the subject of money, since it's something that's active, really active. And let's say that you have a need for a big improvement in your financial experience. Let's say that you need $10,000, and you need it now. So you can tell by the way we are presenting this that desire or idea is not coming out of your vortex right now. It's your awareness because of the trouble that you're in, let's say, the threats that somebody's making or whatever. Well, it is unlikely, in fact, it's not going to happen, that $10,000 or $10 million, whatever the situation is not going to show up in your bank account today. Not under these conditions. It just is not. It's not ready to pop. That's a vibration not ready to turn to that thing, not now. So that condition is not going to change right now. And if you need that condition to change before your emotion changes, then you're in a cycle of things not getting any better, because you need it to change in order for it to change, but it's not going to change because you need it to change. In other words, you're conditional in it. It's not going to change. It's not going to change while you feel like that. But you could, not right now in the middle of all of this, but you could get a good night's sleep. You could meditate. You could be distracted from your struggle and your trouble. And you could therefore allow your vibration to raise because you've been off that subject. You could find an emotion of prosperity, and you could find it right away. You could feel more prosperous today or tomorrow. You could feel more abundant about more things. You could find the emotion of that. And we want to call the emotion the unconditioned. We want to call it the feeling response, the response to your vibration. Here it is, back on that leading edge again. We want to call it, I hope you're enjoying this leading edge place. I hope you're up for it, because you're taking us to new places. You all right with it? You've been to enough of the old places that you're ready for some of these new places? So this unconditioned is born from your inner being, who is an unconditioned. Your inner being is an energy, not a body. Your inner being is thought, not words. Your inner being is unconditioned, not the manifestation, which is conditioned. You're following us? So if you can find the unconditioned, if you can find the unconditioned, if you can resonate with your inner being about this and find that unconditional alignment, then off you go. It's like when you get in your car, if there's no fuel in the car and there's no combustion in your engine, you can sit there and sort of turn the wheel all day long, but if you don't have the fuel in the car, you're not going to go anywhere. You can put the battery in your contraption, but if the battery doesn't have juice in it, you can turn the on and off switch all day long and push all of the other buttons and nothing's going to happen. And so what we're talking about is hooking up to this energy stream, doing anything and everything that you can to hook up to it. And with humans who are so action oriented, you're going about it for the most part in ways that don't hook you up, and then you're trying to compensate for not being hooked up with action and words, and that's why you feel overwhelmed, and that's why you feel frustrated, and that's why things go more slowly for you. It sets up so perfectly for all of you, for all of us, that the life that you are living is causing you to put the pieces there in a way that you do not have to be all wadded up in them. In other words, the pure desires are coming out of life and going into your vortex. If what life means to you, if what your daily decisions are about, if what you're reaching for is this unconditional alignment with that source energy, then all of the details that you could ever wish for come about.
Yes.
In ways that it feels as if, because it is, the universe knows every nuance of everything that is important to you. Esther woke up one morning in her new house in Utah. And it's a big house, and she was there alone, and she woke up, and as soon as she opened her eyes, the thought that was in her mind, because she was in the receptive mode. You wake up in the receptive mode. You do. You wake up in the receptive mode. Just accept it for a moment and listen for a minute. Something's going to be there for you. And Mark Twain was on her mind. Mark Twain. She's thinking about Mark Twain, the books he's written. And that led her to the thought about years before, many years before, in the early 80s, Jerry and Esther had a friend in Tucson who had a series of Mark Twain books. They were signed by Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens. He signed both names. And Jerry and Esther were unaware of the depth and breadth of his work. And this woman, because these books were valuable, she let them take one book every week and read it and then return it and take another. And so they took all 26 volumes and read them together and devoured them, enjoyed every one of them. Some especially, like the Recollections of Joan of Arc. Such magnificent, intuitive, receptive writing. And Esther and Jerry knew right from the beginning that this consciousness is part of what they are. In other words, they could feel the harmony of this energy of this writing. They could feel the depth of their soul being the depth of that soul. In other words, a sort of recognition of a soulmate in this writing. And so Esther was always going to see if she could find those books for Jerry, but she never really got around to it. The internet wasn't around, and so she made some efforts at finding some of these books and didn't find them, gave up on the idea. So this morning Esther wakes up and Mark Twain is on her mind, and she's thinking, ooh, I bet I could find those books now. And I have these beautiful shelves in this beautiful library where they would look so good and feel so good. I want those books. I want those books. This fresh desire. I want those books. So she went to her computer and in 5 minutes found them. In 5 minutes found them, pushed the button. They'll be here tomorrow. And she was breathless with the idea of them. Now, this is a desire that she didn't realize it was even within her until she woke up with it. And it gave her such exhilaration because there was nothing to contradict it. Are you getting the sense of it? And within a moment, those thoughts had begun to turn to things. It was so fast, and it was interesting to Esther because it's something that she had long ago wanted and not gotten anywhere on, and now all of a sudden she wants it, and boom, here it is. It's on the way. She could almost see them putting the books in the boxes in that moment, which they were doing. So now Esther is with her friend. They go into the city. They have lunch at a restaurant, and right around the corner from this restaurant is an antique store. And so the desire to be in that antique store is overwhelming. They walk in. Esther walks in. It's 3 stories. It's a very large building. Walks in, goes, back, and stops for the first time in front of a statue, a brass statue. And she says to the man, "Is that who I think it is?" And he says, "If you think that's Joan of Arc, that's who you think it is." And Esther said, "I want that." So she takes the statue, puts it on the shelf. The next day the books are going to arrive. Then a friend comes. He is standing out in the yard. They're painting the house, and they're looking up at some of the wrought iron, and he says, "Woo," or something that sounded like that. "Woo." And Esther says, "What?" He said, "Woo. That looks like and it's the iron grate." And Esther's thinking he's saying bull, and she's thinking, well, it doesn't really look like a bull to me, but okay, yeah, I can kind of see that, she says. And so then they go inside. A little bit of time passes, and they're sitting in some chairs next to a big, beautiful wrought iron lamp that is an owl, like Solomon. And he says the same word, "Woo-ah." And Esther says, "Oh, are you saying owl?" He says, "Yes," saying it in Spanish. And so now she wants to go back out and look at the iron grate. "Oh, now I see. Yes, I can see that is an owl." She had never noticed that before. So now there's a point to all of this. So now you're going to like it when we finally get there. Now she's in the store. She's got Joan of Arc in her arms. The antique dealer is telling Esther what a prized possession she has. He explains to her that it was created by a Frenchman in France, which is where Mark Twain was when he did the research for the Joan of Arc book. And the name of the man is that same name of bull in Spanish. And Esther is thinking, you guys are going to a whole lot of effort just showing off for me. You know every single thing that matters to me, and you know every single thing that is anywhere in vicinity of where I am, and you know how to guide me with feeling to a never-ending stream of things that are connected in ways that you just couldn't make it up, and you couldn't coordinate it, you couldn't make it happen, you could not organize it, but non-physical can. Non-physical knows every human who has ever been, knows every human who now is, knows every connection to everything that matters to you, knows everything. And what is the purpose of the inspiration that is given to you? To surprise and delight you, to support you, to make you understand that you are understood, to make you understand that not only are you understood, but that you are important enough that the non-physical energies will go to any detail and any length in order to satisfy you in any way that is even remotely possible. And all you got to do to get into this never-ending stream of wonderful things unfolding for you, all you got to do in order to be the object of attention of source energy, all you got to do to live happily ever after and fulfill your reason for being, which is to live happily ever after. That's your purpose for being, is to live happily ever after. That's your purpose for being, is to live happily ever after. That is the reason that we all exist. We are joy-seeking, joy-finding, creative genius beings, and it all exists for the pleasure and the joy of becoming. And you can't stop becoming, but you do have the option of becoming while you're happy or becoming while you're not happy, but you never stop becoming. None of us do.